The battlefield was silent after the bombing stopped. Smoke rose from broken alien buildings. Fire burned in the sky like red stars. Human soldier Jack Renner walked through the ruins holding his rifle tight. His mission was simple: clear the area and check for survivors. But Jack wasn't thinking about war anymore. He was tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of fear. Then he heard a sound. A small, soft cry. He turned quickly and aimed his rifle, but what he saw made him lower it right away. There, hiding behind a broken metal wall, was a little alien girl. Her eyes were large and glowing like two moons. Her skin was soft blue. Her clothes were torn, and her hands shook. She looked no older than 7 human years. Jack knelt down and slowly put his rifle on the ground. "It's okay," he said, gently. "I won't hurt you." The alien girl stared at him with wide eyes. She didn't speak. She couldn't. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Only tears fell. Jack reached into his pocket and pulled out a protein bar. He offered it to her. She didn't move. So he took a small bite and smiled, showing her it was safe. After a moment, the girl crawled forward and took it. She ate it like she hadn't eaten in days. "What's your name?" he asked. She just looked at him, then pointed to herself and said one word, barely a whisper. "Zari." Jack nodded. "Zari. That's a nice name." He wrapped her in his coat. The night was cold. Alien winters were cruel. She leaned against him, trusting him, like a lost puppy finding shelter for the first time. Jack didn't understand why he cared so much. Maybe it was because she was small. Maybe it was the way she looked at him, like he was her only hope. To make her laugh, to break the silence, Jack smiled and joked, "You know what, Zari? When you grow up, I'll marry you." She looked up at him with a strange, innocent expression. It was just a joke. He never meant it. The next morning, the rescue team came. Zari was taken by the Galactic Protection Corps. They said she would be safe with her own kind. Jack watched her ship fly away and he thought he'd never see her again. He was wrong. Years passed. The war ended. Jack returned to Earth and tried to live a normal life. He worked as a mechanic, grew a garden, stopped carrying guns. But every now and then he would think about Zari, the little alien girl in the smoke, the one he promised to marry. He would laugh at the memory. "What a silly thing to say," he often muttered. "She probably forgot it already." He was wrong again. One night, years later, Jack stood outside his cabin in the woods. He looked at the stars above. The galaxy was quiet now, or so he thought. Then he saw it. A single ship, coming down fast. No military lights, no warning. It landed just behind the trees. Jack grabbed his old rifle from the closet. He hadn't used it in years. He stepped out into the night, heart pounding. And from the shadows, a voice called out his name. Jack Renner. He froze. A figure stepped forward. Not a child. A woman. Tall. Beautiful. Her skin was still blue. Her eyes still glowed like moons, but she was no longer the little girl he remembered. "I came back," she said softly. He lowered his rifle, shocked. "Zari?" She nodded. "You remember me?" he asked. "I never forgot," she said. "You made a promise." Jack blinked. "That was just a joke, I didn't mean it." Zari's face didn't change. "On my planet, promises are sacred. Words are bonds." Jack took a step back. "Wait, you're serious?" She stepped closer. "I waited. I learned. I trained. And now I've returned. Because you said, when I grew up?" Jack swallowed hard. He didn't know what scared him more, the fact that she remembered, or the fact that she had come back for him, and far above them in the dark sky, another ship waited silently. Jack Renner lived in a wooden cabin near the edge of Earth's green forests, far from the cities, far from the war, far from aliens. He had no friends, no family left. Just birds, trees, and silence. Every morning, he drank black coffee on his porch and watched the mist roll down the hills. He fixed old engines, cooked simple meals, and listened to old Earth music. His past? He had buried it deep, under medals he never displayed and under dreams he tried to forget. But peace never lasts forever. One morning, something strange happened. A bird crashed into his window. Jack rushed out, thinking it was just another unlucky animal. But the bird wasn't injured, it was dead, perfectly intact, eyes wide open but frozen like stone. Not a mark on its body. Jack frowned. That had never happened before. He buried the bird in silence. That night, while reading an EI's old military manual, he heard tapping on his cabin wall, not at the door. On the wooden wall, 3 sharp knocks. Then nothing. Jack grabbed his rifle. He moved around the cabin, careful, slow. No one was there. But carved into the wood, in glowing blue letters, was a word. Promise. His blood ran cold. That word, promise, was the exact word he had said years ago to a little alien girl with glowing eyes. He tried to laugh it off. Maybe kids were playing tricks. Maybe his memory was twisting things. But then he saw it again. A flower, blue and glowing, sitting on his porch table the next morning, a kind that didn't grow on Earth. Jack held it in his hand. No way, he whispered. He took out his old war journal, flipped through pages until he found the sketch he drew years ago, of the alien girl, of the flower she once showed him on the battlefield. The same flower. Exactly the same. His hands shook. He dropped the journal and stared into the trees. "Zari?" he said aloud. "Is that you?" No answer. That night, Jack couldn't sleep. He sat on his porch with his rifle in his lap, staring into the woods. Hours passed. The stars moved slowly above him. At midnight, the power cut off. Total silence. Then the wind changed. Warm, unnatural. A low hum filled the forest. It wasn't mechanical. It was alive. Then a shape appeared, not from the sky, but from between the trees. A woman walked into the clearing. Her skin shimmered blue like water. Her steps were calm. No fear. She wore armor unlike any Jack had ever seen, half organic, half metal, like it had grown from her body. "Jack Renner," she said. He stood up. "No. This can't be real." The woman smiled. "You told me to come back when I grew up." Jack stared at her. "Zari?" She nodded once. "You look older." He gave a nervous laugh. "And you look different." "You made a promise," she said. Jack rubbed his forehead. "I didn't think you took that seriously." "My people don't forget," she said. "Especially not me." Jack looked around. "Are you alone?" "No," Zari said. "They're watching." She turned and pointed to the sky. Up high, hidden in the dark clouds, was a ship, massive and silent, barely visible. It didn't glow. It didn't hum. But Jack could feel it. It was like the moon was staring at him. "What do they want?" he asked. "They want to know if you're a man of your word," she replied. Jack looked at the ground. All he had wanted was peace. But peace had come with silence, with loneliness, with guilt. And now, the past had returned, with blue eyes and a memory sharp as a blade. He looked up at her. "Why me, Zari? I'm no hero anymore, I'm broken." Zari stepped closer. "You were the first to show kindness. You were the first to protect me. You gave me hope when my world was burning." She paused. "Now I've come to return that gift, but first I must know, will you still keep your promise?" Jack said nothing, but somewhere deep inside him something long dead stirred, watching. For the first time in years, Jack Renner didn't drink his morning coffee. He stood outside his cabin, staring at the sky. The massive alien ship Zari had pointed to last night was gone, hidden again. But he could still feel it, watching, waiting. Zari was gone too. She had said, "I'll return when the stars are right." Then she vanished into the trees, like a ghost fading in the mist. Jack hadn't slept. All night he had replayed the past, in his head. His war days, the little alien girl, the silly promise, and now the grown woman with glowing eyes asking him to keep it. He thought maybe it was a dream, until she came back. But this time, she didn't come alone. It was late afternoon. Jack was fixing the engine of his old cargo hauler when he heard a strange sound. Not mechanical, not natural. It was like a whisper, carried by the wind, soft but clear. His name. Jack. He stood up fast. The wind stopped. Time seemed to freeze. Then, from the sky, a beam of soft blue light struck the ground just 20 feet from him. It didn't explode. It unfolded. The light expanded slowly, like a doorway opening between worlds. And through that shimmering gate, she walked out. Zari. But she was dressed differently now. She wore ceremonial robes made from star silk, fabric that shimmered like a galaxy in motion. Her head was crowned with a delicate crest, and behind her floated 2 guards, tall alien warriors with silver armor and eyes that glowed red. Jack backed away instinctively. "You brought company this time," he said carefully. Zari raised her hand. The guard stopped at the edge of the light and stood like statues. "I came to speak properly," she said, "and to show you who I am now." Jack crossed his arms. "And who are you?" "I am Zari of the Starborn line," she said, "daughter of House Vetra, and now, heir to the future throne." Jack stared at her, stunned. "A princess?" Zari smiled softly. "Not exactly, my people don't use that word. But yes, something like that." He shook his head. "And you came all this way for me?" She stepped forward. "You made a promise, Jack. I waited for years, trained, led missions, earned my place. But no matter how far I rose, I never forgot the human soldier who gave me his coat and said, 'When you grow up, I'll marry you.'" Jack sighed. That was just a joke to comfort a scared child. Zari's face turned serious. "In my culture, comfort is sacred. Promises are binding. And love, true love, is built on loyalty." Jack couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You don't even know me anymore." "I remember more than you think," she said softly. "The way you looked at me when I was alone. The way you protected me, the way you smiled, not out of power but kindness." She held out a small object. It was old, rusty, a human military badge with his name on it. "I kept this," she whispered. "All these years." Jack took the badge slowly. It was real. Bent and worn, but real. Zari stepped closer. "I didn't come to force you. I came to remind you of who you were and who you still could be." The guards behind her tensed as a second ship appeared in the sky. This one not friendly. It was black, sleek, and coming fast. Zari looked up and her eyes narrowed. Jack felt the tension in the air shift. "Enemies?" She nodded. "There are. Those who don't want me here. They know what a bond between me and a human could mean." Jack blinked. What could it mean? "A new alliance," she said. "A future between species. A unity that could change the galaxy." The enemy ship was getting closer. Jack looked at Zari. She didn't seem afraid, just focused. He looked at the old rifle hanging above his door, then back at her. "Do I still have a choice?" he asked. Zari turned to him, calm and steady. "You always had a choice. But now, your decision won't just affect me. It could decide the fate of 2 worlds." The skies above Earth were no longer empty. In orbit, hidden behind cloaking fields, floated a ring-shaped alien structure, silent, massive, and ancient. It was the Starborn Council vessel, a living ship made of stone and light, powered by the minds of the galaxy's oldest beings. Inside, 12 alien figures sat around a circular table made of glowing crystal. At the center of the table floated a single hologram, Zari, dressed in star silk robes, standing beside a human man, Jack Renner. The image flickered. The aliens hissed and murmured. "This cannot happen," growled a scaled counselor with 6 eyes. "The human is unworthy." "He is dangerous," said another, her voice like breaking ice. "Their kind brings war, not peace." Zari's voice echoed through the chamber, recorded from her ship. "You say humans are wild, but this one saved me. When your council hid, when your guards fled, he stayed." The aliens did not like that. One slammed a clawed hand on the table. "A warrior's act does not make him a mate." Another creature, old and tree-like, spoke slowly. "But a promise once made in the language of bond must be honored, even between species." The council argued. Loud, violent. A storm of voices filled the ship. Then silence. The Elder of Light, an ancient being made of shimmering gas, rose above the table. "She may return to him," it said, "but she must be warned." Back on Earth, Jack stared at the sky as Zari's ship landed again. This time she didn't come alone. 4 council guards stepped out first, surrounding her. Their armor was glowing red. Their weapons were not drawn, but Jack felt their threat. In every step, Zari approached Jack with a calm face, but her eyes showed worry. "They're here," she said, "to give you the warning." Jack frowned. "Warning?" A council speaker stepped forward. It was tall, thin, with smooth silver skin and no face, just shifting patterns where a mouth should be. "You are Jack Renner," it said. "Yes, you are the one who made the sacred promise to Zari of Starborn line." "I didn't mean, it does not matter what you meant." The words were spoken. "The bond is known." Jack stepped back. "So what now?" "You're going to force me to marry her?" The speaker shook its head slowly. "No, we will not force you. But understand this." It raised one long finger. "If you accept her, truly accept her, she becomes yours. But not just as a partner. As a bridge between your kind and hers." Zari added, "Our world is watching, yours will too. Some will love us. Some will hate us. But together we will stand between peace and war." Jack looked at her. "And if I refuse?" The speaker answered, "Then Zari will be called back. Her name will be erased, her honor broken. She may never return." Zari didn't blink. She just looked at him, waiting. Jack turned to the speaker. "So this is your warning?" "No," the being replied. "This is the beginning." Suddenly a screen opened in the sky above them, a live feed of alien cities, human colonies, and hidden satellites all tuned in to watch his choice. Jack laughed in disbelief. "You turned this into a galactic drama?" Zari smiled. "They love stories, but they fear humans." Jack stared at her. "Why me, Zari? Why really?" She stepped close. "Because you didn't run. Because you treated me like a person, not a monster. And because I loved you. Even when I didn't understand what that meant." Jack looked into her glowing eyes. The girl he saved was gone, but in her place stood someone brave, kind, and stronger than anyone he had ever met. And now, the galaxy waited for his answer. Jack Renner didn't sleep that night. He sat alone by the fire deep in the forest behind his cabin. The alien council ship had left, floating back into orbit like a silent moon. Zari had returned to her ship too, waiting, watching, giving him space. But Jack couldn't stop thinking. The galaxy wanted him to make a choice. Her people had honored his old promise. But what no one asked was, what did that promise cost him? As flames crackled, he opened an old metal box. Inside were memories he had buried long ago, a photo of his squad, smiling, young, full of life. All gone now. A blood-stained patch from his uniform, a medal he had never accepted publicly, and at the bottom, a crumpled, faded drawing. Zari, as a child, hiding in rubble, smiling at him with a half-eaten protein bar in her hand. His hands trembled. That moment had kept him alive through the worst battles. Not because it was heroic, but because in a world burning with hate, it was the one thing that felt real. Back then, Jack thought kindness was weakness. But Zari had changed that. And now she had returned, not as a lost girl, but as a woman carrying hope for two civilizations. But hope came with enemies. Jack remembered the day he almost died. It was on Cavor 7, a frozen planet during the last years of the human-alien war. His unit had been ambushed. He'd lost his leg in an explosion and crawled for hours in snow mixed with blood. Everyone else was dead. He should have died too. But then, something warm touched his face. Zari. She was just a child, hiding in a wrecked escape pod nearby. She had come out shaking and offered him water. Her people had left her. His army had forgotten him, but two broken souls had saved each other, and now the galaxy was trying to rewrite that into something larger, something political, powerful. Jack stared at the stars. I didn't save her for a reward, he whispered. I just didn't want her to die. He didn't hear footsteps behind him. Zari stood there silent, listening. I know, she said. Jack looked over his shoulder. You still believe in this? In us? Zari sat beside him, close but not too close. Her voice was soft. I don't believe in fate, but I believe in you. In the person who gave me his coat and joked about marriage just to make me smile. Jack sighed. That joke might start a war. Or peace, she replied. He looked into the fire. What if I can't give you what you need? She reached out and placed her hand over his. I don't need a king. I don't need a savior. I just need you. The man who never ran away, even when he should have. They sat there, in silence, listening to the fire crackle. Then Zari said something that made Jack freeze. My father was on the council, she whispered. He voted against you. Jack turned slowly. Why? Because he knew, she said. If I stayed with you, I would never return to the throne. I would never lead the way they want me to. I would choose my own path. Jack swallowed hard. So what happens now? Zari stood. Her shadow flickered against the trees like a ghost. The council will call me back soon. If you don't speak, they'll assume it's a refusal. I'll lose my name, my right to rule. Jack stood too. And if I say yes, then I'm yours, forever. Not just as a symbol, not just for politics, but for what we were, and what we could become. She turned and walked into the shadows, her star silk cloak blending into the forest mist. Jack looked up. The stars didn't look the same anymore. They weren't distant. They were watching. The next day, Earth's skies were no longer peaceful. 12 alien ships hovered above major human cities. They didn't attack. They didn't speak. They simply appeared, silent, glowing, and full of questions. News broke across every channel. Alien royal heir claims human mate. Is Earth ready for the bond? One human veteran holds the fate of two civilizations. Who is Jack Renner? Why does an alien princess want him? Jack stood in his cabin, the only place that hadn't changed. But the world outside was spinning fast. Every major government wanted answers. Every alien faction had eyes on him. The media turned him into a myth. The council turned him into a question, and all he had done was try to save a little girl years ago. Now that girl had grown up, and she had offered him everything, but accepting her meant more than love. It meant power, politics, pressure, war, or peace. That afternoon, a human envoy arrived. 2 soldiers and a diplomat, clean suits, cold faces. They sat in Jack's cabin like strangers visiting a museum. You do understand what your answer means, Mr. Renner. the diplomat asked. If you say yes, you become the bridge between Earth and the Vetra Empire. Your decisions could affect trade, security, even war. Jack didn't answer. One soldier leaned forward. We're asking you as your own kind. Don't let emotions cloud this. She's not even human. Jack looked at him sharply. She was more human in war than most men I served with. The room went quiet. The diplomat sighed. So you've made your choice? Jack nodded. I made it years ago. I just didn't know it. That night the sky opened once more. This time the council ship descended in full view, hovering above the valley near Jack's cabin. Its lower doors opened, and from the light walked Zari. She wore a new robe, white with gold edges. Her head was bare, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. Behind her stood council guards, elders, and watchers from other species. This was it. No stage, no music. Just Jack, standing alone in a field as the galaxy waited. He stepped forward. Zari smiled, not like royalty, not like a leader, like someone who remembered a warm coat, a broken battlefield, and a silly promise. Jack reached into his pocket. He pulled out the rusty military badge she had returned to him. Then, without saying a word, he placed it gently in her hand. Zari blinked. What does this mean? Jack smiled. It means I'm yours. The wind changed. The light around them grew brighter. Far above, satellites and alien drones captured every second. Across thousands of screens, aliens and humans watched as Jack and Zari stood side by side, neither fully belonging to one world anymore. And the council? They didn't cheer, they didn't speak, but one by one they bowed their heads. Not because they agreed, but because the bond was real, and real bonds cannot be broken. Far away, hidden factions stirred in anger. Not all were happy. Some saw danger. Others saw hope. But one truth echoed through the stars. A human made a promise. An alien believed in it. And together, they changed everything. Peace is not loud. It begins in whispers. Soft words, brave choices, quiet moments between two people who dare to believe in something bigger than fear. And it started with a human and an alien girl, and a promise made long ago. The galaxy watched as Zari and Jack stood together, hand in hand under two suns on neutral ground between Earth and the stars. The ceremony was unlike anything seen before. Not a wedding by Earth's law, not a binding by Vetra custom, but something new, a unity pact, symbolic, powerful, dangerous. Half of the council didn't attend. Some races boycotted, but others sent gifts, envoys, blessings. In the heart of it all, Zari's voice rang clear. This is not about tradition. This is not about politics. This is about a choice between hope and hate. He made me a promise. I chose to believe him. And now I ask the stars to believe in us. When Jack spoke, he kept it simple. I was a soldier. I was a ghost. I didn't believe in happy endings until she reminded me that kindness survives, even across stars. But not everyone wanted peace. At the edge of the system, a fleet of rogue alien warships broke through a defense barrier. Old enemies of the Starborn. They saw Zari's bond with a human as betrayal. They fired without warning. Jack and Zari's new unity wasn't just symbolic anymore. It was under attack. But something unexpected happened. For the first time in history, Earth's military and the Starborn Armada fought side by side. Human pilots flew beside alien cruisers. Ships from both species lit up the void in dazzling colors of defense. Jack wasn't in a cockpit. He stood beside Zari on the command deck of her flagship. She looked at him and said one word. Ready? He nodded. Let's show them what a promise really means. Zari gave the order. And together they turned the tide. The battle didn't last long, but its effect was eternal. The rogue fleets were defeated, their leaders captured. The message was clear. Unity wins. And it had begun with a small joke. spoken by a lonely human to a scared alien child. Months later, Jack lived not in a cabin, but aboard the starborn Earth Embassy Station. A floating city between two worlds, Zari led peace councils. Jack advised security. They grew together, not just as leaders but as a symbol. They didn't always agree, but they always stood side by side. Some still doubted them, some still feared them. But others? Others followed. A young Martian girl signed up for alien language training. A retired alien warrior opened a school on Earth. A human and a reptilian couple registered their bond publicly, for the first time in history. The galaxy had changed, and it all began with a promise. Final log, Jack Renner. I didn't think I'd matter. I didn't think one joke could echo across stars. But sometimes the smallest words plant the deepest roots. And if I've learned anything, it's this. A promise is not just a word. It's a seed. And when it's given with kindness, it can grow into something no war can ever destroy.